Hey guys, it's Matt. If this works, it could become a new feature. It's called Let's Use Our New Level of Perception and Apply It to All of Art, not just to movies and TV shows and music. Our new level of perception. For example, people will send me a song with the lyrics. Matt, how do you interpret this? This is what I see. They'll send me a clip from a movie or something like that. But we could apply our new level of perception. Yes, all of us have it. We're one of the only groups left in the world that's not completely fogged over. One of the few tiny bastions of a population that's left that doesn't walk around with a mental gas mask. We can apply this to Renaissance art and even going back further, like horrible statues with the arms ripped off, like the Venus de Milo. We will be able to see it differently, I assure you, in almost all cases than any, quote, modern reviewer. But Matt, have university degrees. They went to the Ivy League for their art degree, and they have a master's. That makes their perceptions even worse. So today we're going to review a famous painting that's just known as Stanzik by the Polish painter Jan Matejko. The name has been abbreviated because the full name, I can't even remember it. It's so damn long, I've got to look over here. It's called Stanzik during a ball at the court of Queen Bona in the face of the loss of Smolensk. Matt, what is the point of all this? I can go to anywhere for a goddamn art review. Well, do you think I would do this if it wasn't going to tell us something about reality itself, something about ourselves, something about how the modern human is being completely fogged over? You think I'm just going to do an art review because I like his pretty outfit, his pretty little court gesture? No, it's going to tell us something about reality, I assure you. We can start with this. I don't know why this popped into my head, but I'll just get it out now because it relates. Was looking at a certain song about 4 or 5 months ago and how people interpret the lyrics. I found one, it was like a high school girl reviewing the lyrics, and she kept saying, well, let me pause and go research what this could mean, and let me pause and go research what that may mean. And I didn't mean to come off as arrogant or anything, but I left a comment saying, no. Never go out and research it. Never look to some authority. Little girl in high school trying to review this song. What does it say to you? That's what's important. That's the truth. Don't look to authority. Don't ever go out to Wikipedia. Now, as I had to go to Wikipedia here to say, well, when was this court gesture Stanzik? Who the hell is Queen Bona? What the hell is the Lithuanian Poland Empire? I didn't know anything about that horse shit. So I had to do all that, which is, you can figure, is relatively accurate. But in terms of a true interpretation of art, never look to some buffoon that considers themselves an authority. Look to your own inner knowing. All right, before moving forward and analyzing the painting, maybe the real interpretation that we could get to, not the wrong interpretation put out by these art critics with all their degrees, let's review the facts, because this painting is going to be new to most of us. And I don't even know the facts. I've got to look down at all the notes I took. We need to do this before moving forward. We know it was the famous Polish painter Jan Matejko. We know it's 1862 for the painting. We know this historical character we're looking at is a real court jester in history named Stanzik, served under the king, Sigismund I the Old. Did he want to be called that during his reign? I'd rather be called Sigmund the Sea Monster if I was on the throne. Sigismund I the Old. Matt, it was even worse. If you didn't say that last part, the old, he'd have your head. You didn't call me the old. Off with his head. I don't know. This stuff must come later after they die. All right, Stanzik, famous court jester like a Rosencrantz and Guildenstern type character, and became a famous court jester because in some way he had influence on the king, or somehow his political viewpoints of the day were known. There's a little bit of a synchronicity here for me, because the only Notnilc travel tours we've done so far, we did a little one with Lawrence of Arabia and that place that we almost had to go move to, the Sinai Peninsula, but the only one that was truly Notnilc travel tours was Smolensk, Russia. Remember that 2 months ago? And this whole painting centers around Smolensk. Again, the whole name of the painting is Stanzik during a ball at the court of Queen Bono, Sonny Bono, in the face of the loss of Smolensk. So, like, the one damn Notnilc travel tours we've done, here it comes back again. Matt, it's calling you, Smolensk. You need to move there soon. Maybe. A white guy of about 50, you get all these pop-ups. Take in beautiful Russian women. Take in beautiful Ukrainian women. Well, why can't it go the other way? How come, okay, why can't there be beautiful women already in Smolensk that'll take me? I'll go that way and bring my dowry with. I'll do that. I don't want to bring them here. I want to go there. Back to the serious interpretation, when you look at websites that review paintings, very sophisticated YouTube videos, what they will tell you is this. They will tell you that the artist, because Stanzik was not known in terms of what he looked like all the way back to 1480 to 1560, the artist, Jan Matejko, put his own face on Stanzik. Okay, that's something we will use later. What is the artist saying about the state of, quote, man or the human and reality itself? I don't think, at least the reviewers that I listened to this morning, I didn't put years into this. I didn't take a college class on this damn painting, but I put about an hour of research in this morning, watched several YouTube videos, went to several different websites. And the point is, the themes of what they were all saying repeated. And it was so clear to me that I think they were missing a whole lot. They're missing a lot because they're not working with all the puzzle pieces as to how reality works. We don't have all the puzzle pieces yet either. But if there's 50 in the puzzle, we have 30 to 35 puzzle pieces. The people that just came out with their university degrees that are reviewing paintings, they're only parroting back what they learned in class. They're working with 5 puzzle pieces. They ain't got shit to work with. We do. So therefore, we don't have the fog, and we potentially can see what some of this artwork is really representing. All right, here's the presentation. Some jackass just got a master's degree in art from Yale. Oh, he's a big shot. He got hired on as assistant janitor at some art museum in Chicago. Will work his way up someday to be curator, potentially be the curator of the Bellagio, because Julia Roberts left after Ocean's 11. Okay, here's what they would say. See, Stanzik just read the letter there. According to the art reviewers and those with the proper degrees that are allowed to talk about paintings like this other than myself, they say it's likely that that letter there to Stanzik's right talks about the fall of Smolensk. The letter is the key to the whole thing, because Stanzik, as the court jester, realizes what that means to the empire, which I think at the time, again, is Poland and Lithuania combined. Now, there's a party going off to the right there. And the one who's supposed to be most participating in the party, the court jester, Stanzik, he has turned his back on the Duke and the Duchess and the King and the Queen and the party. He doesn't want to participate in any jovial activities. He has now again, the reviewers of art believe that letter must be talking about the fall of Smolensk. Well, Matt, can they make out the words on it? No, but that's what all the damn reviewers think. He has seen via the letter, which we'll see that it's bogus to me why they have to interpret it that way, that, oh, Smolensk has fallen, and oh, the court jester is the only one that can see the ramifications, and the party just goes on, and the elites just throw that maybe they're doing their own cremation of care back there, throwing care and caution and stress to the wind, even why Smolensk goes down. The only one that gives a shit is Stanzik. So the reviewers will say he has turned his back to the party, and see, they'll talk about the comet out the window, which they're so perceptive. That's probably only been talked about in the review of this painting for about 500 years now. It's a bad omen, and you can make out in the dark there, it's the outline of a certain chapel, and the reviewers are so smart, and they say that's this chapel, the way Dr. Lecter talked about the Duomo scene at the Belvedere or whatever in Silence of the Lambs. So they see, the reviewers, they can just parrot back what their professors said 5 years before. That makes them really, really smart. Reviewers, what's your own personal interpretation other than you got from Yale? I don't have that. I was just able to repeat what I learned in class. We're going to actually put our own spin on this. And Matt, what are you going to say? I don't even know yet. But I know there's a whole lot of shit here for people that have more or working with more of the puzzle pieces. And one last time, just so we don't forget, I remind you that the face here of Stanzik is the face of the artist, Jan Matejko. And the incredibly intelligent reviewers say, well, they didn't know what this Stanzik looked like. Nobody knows what Guildenstern and Rosencrantz-Berg looks like. So the artist just threw his own face on. Like that wasn't highly significant to what's being said here. Like one critic who he seemed like really, really smart in the way they presented, like the artist just put his own face on there because what else are you going to put on there? The face of Roseanne Barr? Like that has to be a gigantic or hugely significant factor in your interpretation of the painting, I would think. Now here's where the art critics, with all their degrees hanging all over their office walls like a psychiatrist, here's where they get really confused. They say, on that letter there, that Stanzik is so concerned because he maybe wasn't supposed to see it. There's a date that can be made out on the letter there on the table. I can't make it out, but they say it says 1530. Oh, no. It says 1533 on the letter. But that's not why they're confused. That will be a factor in our analysis, I guess. We would have to. The 33 pops up. You better believe we're going to try to use that to try to interpret what's going on here. So it's a puzzle piece, or half a puzzle piece that we have that the reviewers coming out of Yale wouldn't have a clue about. They wouldn't assign any credibility or credence to the 33 as we. That's just another puzzle piece that they're missing. But they say, well, wait a second. What? I researched the fall of Smolensk, these art critics say, and it was clearly 1514. So, and literally some of them say, I guess Jan Matejko made a mistake. Some think he actually made a mistake. Like he couldn't walk a block down to his library and get the date right for the small of Smolensk. The small. No, it's not a mistake. Okay, not every critic goes there, but several did. Like, what do you guys think? Is it a mistake? No, it's not a mistake. That the year 1533 somehow appears. I can't make out no dates on that letter, but okay, 1514. It's not like the fall of Smolensk was 1514 and the letter says 1519 or 1520 like it was close. Of course, it's not a mistake. If the letter says 1533, well, how can these critics be so sure that what Stanczyk read that made him so damn depressed there is about the fall of Smolensk? This is not a small oversight. Like, this would have to be the basis of our review. People like you and me that don't have the art degrees. If we were taking a Billy Madison podium against all these reviewers with their Ivy League art degrees and masters, and so this one guy over at the podium has a PhD. Say, sir, the fact that the date can be made out on the letter and it says 1533, that tells you it's not about the fall of Smolensk. Why do you reviewers keep bringing that back in? Well, you just can't go there. Well, what do you think the letter says? I don't know what the letter says. But if the date is 20 years off, it's not about the fall of Smolensk. I mean, how do you guys even do that? I mean, how stupid are you people? Maybe I'm missing something. Matt, they spent whole college semesters on this painting. You've spent an hour and you think your interpretation's bad. Well, I'm just using common sense. What am I missing so far, right? So here's what I would think. The reign of King Sigismund I, the sea monster, was 1506 to 1548. That's a long reign. That's respecta. 1506 to 1548. Okay? 1533 is on the letter. To me, I'm no genius, but there's only two choices here. This is Stanzik here. He was the court jester under the reign of Sigmund the Sea Monster. It's 1533 on the letter. That's all we know. So either what's happening now, the scene you see, is actually 1533. The ball is 1533. He's sitting in the damn chair. Or it is 1514 or a lot earlier, but the letter is predictive of something that would be happening in 1533. Now, again, I'm not going to take this on as a research project. I'm not going to get on a steamliner and go over to Poland and comb the libraries and the rare books rooms to see what might have happened in 1533. Maybe the letter is predictive in some way. But that there's only two ways to interpret it with a degree of common sense. Either that son of a bitch is in that chair in 1533, or the letter it was before that, and the letter's predictive of something that would happen in 1533. But I kid you not, these genius reviewers that just spent $190,000 a semester, they think the letter's predicting the fall of Smolensk, which was about 20 years before 1533. Some reviewers will start to tie in what's called the sad clown paradox, and this Stanzik painting being the first demonstration of the sad clown paradox, which has been carried through art, theater, being most recently portrayed by the Joker, the Joaquin Phoenix movie Joker, where the person that is looked to be the funniest, maybe you could relate this maybe to Robin Williams if you believe the whole narrative and story as to what they say happened to him. The people that are the funniest, the people that can carry a room, can get the most laughs, turn out to be the most depressed or disturbed people. Matt, that's you. You can make an extemporaneous presentation with some funny points, but then we've met you out. It's like you're like a Ballstein model in the Derelict campaign. Derelict, you can't even carry on conversation when we meet you in person. This is you, Matt. No, that's the sad clown paradox. I'm the sad truther paradox. There's a difference. Every reviewer of note that has reviewed Stanzik, you see, carries the bias, the gigantic albatross or the monkey on the back of all that they've been taught, all the classes they've ever taken, all the books they've ever read by so-called authority. They carry this bias. They don't understand research the way we do as to how reality works. They'll never be able to get to the truth of most works of art. Well, what do you think it is, genius? I don't know. I haven't really thought about it much yet. I just saw the inconsistencies in the way these reviewers were presenting this. I know this is a famous painting. It reeks of like a song that has that, quote, retrocausality language where there is a deeper meaning. You can feel it in looking at this painting. You know the first level review is always going to be wrong, just like the first level review of a song or something like that in terms of interpreting its lyrics is always wrong. Like yesterday's video, I talked about the Paul McCartney, somebody knocking at the door, somebody ringing a bell, open the door, let it in. I say it's Paul McCartney. I was basically almost being funny, but then the more I talked about it, the more I thought, well, it could be. Is he talking about let the Notnilc, let the screen into your reality bubble? Again, not putting all my chips that that's exactly what that means. However, the main point here is, I don't care, of course, and you all see this, I don't have to say this. If we go out and find a Rolling Stone article and Paul McCartney tells you exactly what that means, why should I believe that for a second? I don't believe it for a second. When Steven Spielberg tells you what this means, it's all part of the bullshit backstory of the way the Notnilc and the Minions present on behalf of the screen. If Paul McCartney told me exactly what that means in an article, I'd be thankful he told me, because then I could say, I know that's not it. Everything else is on the table but what he told me. That's just the way reality works when you're dealing with important topics and high-level creeps. In any sort of real analysis of this painting, you have to lead with the fact that the artist put his face on this character. Every reviewer seems to be looking at it still through the eyes of Stanzik, and the artist just slapped his face on there for fun. No, you have to lead with this is the artist making a statement about what he believes. I know he was very young when he painted this. It doesn't matter. This level of painter, even if he was in his 20s, the spiritual message, the retrocausality languages, of course it could be flowing or channeled through an artist like this. It doesn't matter if he had life experience or not. Artists can channel. Any real artist knows what I'm talking about. Even when I've written, Matt, how'd you write anything talking like, I've written a few books, but they're bought by 2 or 3 people. The Quantum of Conscious is a fun book about sleep experiments and lucid dreaming. And as I wrote it, there was shit. I started talking about time, how everything is stacked on top of itself, the record needle representing consciousness, all that stuff. I don't know where some of this stuff came from. And I'm not in any way an artist or anything. You get a sense of how you can channel certain things and what I might have experienced writing the fun book. People think it's the truth book, so they'll go buy Quantum of Consciousness and they're like, what is this horse shit about college kids? Just if you read the description, it clearly says what it's about. It's just a fun book about, well, there's time travel at the end. I'm not trying to sell the book, right? Again, 50 people bought the book. It's no big deal. It was written a long time ago. But you channel certain things as an artist. So I don't care if somebody comes to me and says, this painter was only in his 20s. He couldn't really be saying anything important. Oh, yes, he could be. And even if he's not even aware of it. All right, let's start with the horseshit objections or people throwing rubber duckies they threw 20 minutes ago. Of course, I'm going to mention this. This doesn't help us in getting to the bottom of what this means. Matt, see, that means that, of course, Jan Matejko, he must be a Freemason, and he was just a little wink to his brothers about the 33. Okay, let's just say all that's right. So what? What does that get us? What does that get us? That's it. No reason to interpret any sort of hidden messages on the carrier wave of what this could be saying about reality itself. It's just, he must be a Freemason because of the 33. And that's it. I guess we'll end this video. Even if that's the case, so what? Okay, I still think here, no matter what he was or what the 33 is not just about a lot. They use the 33 because of the power behind the 33. We've been over this a million times. So, yes, the 33 is significant on that letter. No doubt about it. Am I going to know exactly what Jan Matejko meant by that? But I'm not going to just throw my arms up and say he's a grand master, whatever, and then be done. So what, even if he was? We know the 33 and other numbers that are key and important in gematria represent something in this reality, represent something very important. Again, it's not that you just see what we've been taught. This is how we've been used and abused. We've been taught for years that, oh my gosh, the 33, and it's just about the Freemasons. Don't you see how we've been taught to run back and lap that same bowl every single time? And the absolute morons and idiots, if I end a video with a 33, that'll make a comment about it. I mean, I'll tell you what, when I make certain key points on certain stretches of these videos, it's uncanny how many times I'll stop and pause that section. I'll look back, it'll say 3.3 minutes. Or in some way, it'll say 33. And it's the same with the 9. Pause. Paired with the 11, it's the same way. They're trying to use that the power number exists on its own. They've hijacked it and made it theirs. Okay? So you see how we've been taught to do that. I have no tolerance whatsoever for anybody that makes a comment about the number of the time of my video. I love those sorts of comments, so I can immediately delete a moron like that away from the channel for good. So what's really being said here, away from the art critics? At the minimum, you could say, this would be at the first grade level. Again, the 1533 that appears on the letter, if it is a date in the future, especially considering the comet out the window, a comet, a bad omen or a predictive of something coming in 1533, or potentially something coming in general represented by the 33 and not specifically 1500 and something. So it could be interpreted, and again, there's no real answer. Nobody's going to know for sure. But if somebody said, Matt, this is predictive in some sense, and ran with that aspect of it, it would be a whole lot of a more legitimate analysis than what these art idiot critics put forth. I don't really see it that way. But if the date's in the future and the comet's out the window, and somebody wants to run with this was predicting of something, whether it be a collapse of society into revelry and complete buffoonery, and nobody cares about anything important, I mean, that's a factor. I'm going to see it more like the way we see it, but that's at least better than what the art critics would put forth. So a slight spin on that, getting closer probably to the truth, is the artist himself of Jan Matejko, through the historical character Stanzik, is turning his back on not the specific ball, especially represented by that comet. I mean, the comet out the window tells you a lot. Turning his back on society itself. So what was going on, and again, I'm not going to do the research project, what was going on in the year 1862, when Jan Matejko finished this painting, where, again, that's Jan's face. That's the artist's face as Stanzik. The artist is turning his back to society and those that lead society in 1862, far more than Stanzik is in this painting. But incredibly, that's not the way the art reviewers see it. Even though there's a comet out the window, see, that is more than highly significant. It's not just about the fall of Smolensk in a battle if there's a damn comet out the window. You realize the change in the significance that makes? My goodness. Even though I ranted the way I did, saying we don't automatically have to tie the 33 into lodges, but it's possible it's still related. And I have no idea. I'm just thinking freely, trying to think unencumberedly, if that's a word. Where maybe Stanzik, Jan through Stanzik, he's telling you potentially what he's maybe being forced to paint. There's certain themes that run through this painter, Jan Matejko. Maybe he's not free to paint what he wants. Maybe because of the Freemasons or the secret societies they have control over the art of the day in 1862 potentially, and he's in a box and he's making the announcement. The 33 is on the table there via the letter. He's turning his back to the power of the day, and he, as the artist, feels like a court jester or a clown. He's not allowed to paint what he truly wants. He's maybe not allowed to make the political statements he truly wants. So it's the artist as the famous jester. These art critics, it's not about Stanzik. It has to be about the artist. It's his face. Is it just me? Is that just obvious to a friggin' first grader? The 33 is on the letter. Okay, what does that mean? Is it related to a secret society control where he's not allowed to do the art that he really wants? He's turning his back and saying F you to those in the ballroom having a good old time because he feels shut out. He feels like the clown or the jester or the joker, Joaquin Phoenix. Okay? I know a lot of you are shaking your head like, well, that could be. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. But, I mean, here in this sort of thinking, we're going to get closer to the truth than these idiot critics. Maybe to the artist, Jan Matejko, it's like an Altered Carbon situation. Did you see Altered Carbon on Netflix? I think the first season is excellent. Second season breaks down a bit. It's still okay. But one of the very interesting things in the first season is a theme we see in a ton of movies and a lot of art. This super end elite class. It's set into the future. So the Bill Gates of the world or the Bezos of the world, the power or money, it's 10 times more. It's like the way the Justin Timberlake movie In Time. Those that controlled the time on their wrist, they'd have a countdown, some sort of Luciferian A's countdown on their wrist, and everybody was given just enough time from their work to get through week. It was all week to week, all the peasants. But this super elite class had, if you look at their wrist through the Luciferian A's under the skin, it would show they have 10,000 years to live. And the amount of time on your wrist is how long you live. That's all we'll do. We should do a whole video about that. It's making a statement that this super elite creep class, I mean, they're so attached to this reality, what Tony calls the sequential incarnation. They love to have the 10,000 years on their wrist. And a real person wouldn't even want to live much longer than we live normally. We want to move on spiritually. So it tells you so much, but I'm straying here. We should do a whole video on that In Time again. Even that first scene where one of the rich elite that has the hundreds and hundreds of years on his wrist, he's just tired of life. He gives it all to Justin Timberlake. Anyway, we'll talk about that some other time. I highly recommend it. It's a B movie, but I like what's being said about the super elite class and how attached they are to this world. Justin Timberlake, In Time. Okay, back to Altered Carbon. In the series Altered Carbon, again, there's this super powerful class. And they control thousands of times more than money because everybody's, their mortality is tied into this something they have buried in the back of their neck called a stack. And these people, through changing out stacks or changing out souls, I forget, they become basically immortal. What is pictured as the elite class in Altered Carbon is the sequential incarnation that Tony talks about, represented by Melvin and the Bezos of this world. So is this super elite class, for the first time, back to the painting here, and I'm looking through the eyes of Jan, not Stanzik, is he, as a young man in the 20s painting this, finally aware, as we came to be when we started investigating truth, that a super elite class over the politicians, over those you think are in control and in power, is this a revelation for the first time by the artist? It took me well into my 30s to truly understand this shadow class here, that a president wasn't the top of anything. A president is a joke that reads from a teleprompter, decides what color shoelaces to wear, maybe what to serve the Japanese prime minister, a Kobe beef or whatever. But other than that, the president doesn't decide anything, in my opinion, other than very trivial things like where to hide the Easter eggs for the annual White House on the lawn Easter egg hunt. So maybe Jan he's placed himself as Stanzik here. He's saying this ultra elite class is having their party. That's what's depicted in the room off to the right. And you can see there's actually a little dwarf there with they say a lute. So, I don't know if that's part of Stanzik's Jester party to keep everybody entertained, but it's Jan, as a Stanzik, has turned his back on the elite class of his day, 1862, that he's just coming into understanding potentially that this class exists. And he is powerless. He's kind of screwed. He is a clown as a painter. He is a jester for this class. And they'll continue to party, whether it be the fall of Smolensk. That people back there that are partying, they play both sides. They led to the fall of Smolensk. They don't care what cities are crushed or what empire goes up or down. It's the same type of creeps that always float up to the surface like a fart in the bathtub as controlling everything. Is the artist finally recognizing this? He can't paint what he wants. I don't know. But and I'll look to your comments for your opinions. The 33 is a factor in this sort of interpretation. Whether you tie it right to some lodge or not, what the 33 represents, he would have known more probably about what the 33 represents. And it goes beyond a secret society. The damn comet out the window. The final interpretation is the artist is just like us. And how would he make a statement if he started to find out things about reality the way we've found them out? He would make a painting, right? He going to go YouTube Jan in 1860. Go, where's my YouTube channel? Where can I get this? Where's Steffer's channel? He got no outlet other than the painting. He could have painted something here that potentially we are a little closer to in the interpretation than even potentially the top class or ruling class of his day even. I know that sounds arrogant, and I wouldn't put all my roulette chips there, and I could be just pulling it out of your ass, like pulling it out of my ass like a crusty piece of corn that's been stuck in there for days. I don't know, but all I'm doing is trying to get you to see that there is a whole lot of ways to interpret high-level art that speaks to your inner knowing, that speaks to the spiritual part of you. There's a whole lot of way to interpret this stuff versus what authority says and Wikipedia. And if start developing this sort of perception, we're going to be wrong a lot, but when we're right, we'll kind of know it. And it's very interesting, when you go to the Philadelphia Museum of Art or the Fields Museum in Chicago or whatever, never, ever look to the critic as to what the art means first. Never. Interpret it on your own. Thanks for watching.